The sun wasn't even up yet, and my taxi had already been hit by a flying shopping cart. That's when I knew the day was about to get spicy. I started the engine and it immediately sneezed. I patted the dashboard, gave it a gentle slap of encouragement, and whispered, "Let's go ruin some lives." First passenger was standing on a mailbox wearing scuba gear and holding a toaster. He dove headfirst through the window, landed perfectly in the back seat, and screamed, "Drive. The bread knows too much." I floored it, obviously. We skidded across a farmer's market, drifted through an alley filled with roller skating grandmas, and accidentally launched off a ramp made of beanbags. Midair, he shouted, "Tell my blender I loved her," before we landed in a kiddie pool full of spaghetti. He left me a coupon for snorkels and a jar of pickles labeled for emergencies only. Before I could catch my breath, a mime in a full superhero costume leapt in, pointed dramatically at the sky, and mimed being chased by invisible flamingos. I didn't ask questions anymore. I drove wherever his wild interpretive dance led us. Turns out we were headed to a silent disco being held inside an abandoned bowling alley. He rolled out, did a backflip, and vanished in a puff of glitter. My seat now smelled like interpretive jazz and regret. Next up, a man in a chicken costume holding a briefcase. He climbed in and whispered, "I'm on the run from the colonel." I hit the gas so hard my steering wheel hiccuped. We zoomed through a drive-through pet spa, barely avoided a dog on a unicycle, and swerved around a family of ducks doing synchronized swimming in a puddle. We stopped at a storage unit guarded by raccoons. He gave me one fried drumstick and disappeared into the shadows. I still don't know if he was human or poultry. Then came the twins. Not normal twins conjoined at the hat. They climbed in, harmonizing in perfect pitch, to the fortune teller who lives under the roundabout. So I drove straight into a roundabout until we found a manhole cover covered in tarot cards. Out popped a wizard in a bathrobe who yelled, "I've been expecting you since 3 p.m. yesterday." The twins gave me a pancake and an IOU for one rainbow. I don't know what that means, but the back seat glows in the dark now. As I was trying to shake the glitter out of my eyebrows, a goat climbed into the passenger seat. It nodded solemnly, chewed on the map, and pointed to a construction site using its hoof. I obeyed. Halfway there, the goat leaned over and honked the horn 3 times, which caused a random traffic light to explode. At the sight, it jumped out, bleated the national anthem of Portugal, and was greeted by a group of ferrets in hard hats. One of them tipped me in pocket lint. Then I picked up a toddler with a mustache and an attitude. "I'm a 42-year-old real estate agent," he said, sipping a juice box.
You're gonna get us killed.
"Take me to the courthouse, my Lego house was repossessed." I raised an eyebrow but kept driving. We hit every speed bump like we were in a Mario Kart championship. He refused to wear a seat belt, instead strapping in a stuffed dinosaur named Judge Judy. At the courthouse, he handed me a fake $5 bill and yelled, "Invest in crayons," before vanishing into a crowd of actual adults who treated him like a celebrity. Then a man in a giant squirrel costume tumbled in, holding a leaf blower and 2 acorns. To the top of the parking garage. "My people await," he shrieked. We drove sideways through a shopping mall, somehow looped through a haunted elevator, and emerged on top of the garage where a cult of costumed rodents were performing a ceremony involving nut butter. He threw acorns into the wind and gave me a handshake that felt suspiciously sticky. A scientist got in with a fish tank full of jello and said, "We must reach the donut dimension before the snails arrive." I simply nodded and turned on the disco mode lights. We raced through a tunnel of inflatable flamingos, past a confused marching band, and entered a wormhole disguised as a car wash. The car briefly turned into a canoe. When we exited, he handed me a time travel receipt and a calendar from 1997. I now dream in dial-up sounds. Then came a group of tourists from another dimension. At least, that's what they claimed. They wore matching jumpsuits that said Earth 2.0, had 3 watches each, and took selfies with the glove box. One of them ate a parking ticket and said, spicy. I drove them to every weird landmark in town, the upside-down tree, the talking bench, the 24-hour yodel booth. At the end, they left me with a universal translator that only says, "Nice mustache," regardless of the language. As the sun started to set, a teenage vampire got in. "I'm late for night school," he muttered. "If I miss algebra again, they'll stake my scholarship." I sped off, dodging garlic trucks, priests on hoverboards, and one very confused bat. When we reached the school, he hissed at the streetlight, handed me a mirror, and said, "Tell no one you saw me." Joke S on him, mirrors don't work on vampires. All I saw was my own exhausted reflection and a pigeon flipping me off from the hood. Then, my favorite passenger of the day, a sentient baguette with sunglasses and an attitude. It rolled in by itself, bounced into the passenger seat, and played Eye of the Tiger on the radio. It directed me to a baking competition where it was set to compete. Every bump in the road, it growled slightly. When we arrived, it nodded, tipped me with a crouton, and rolled into the arena. I watched it win a gold medal before I even drove away. As night fell, a mysterious cloaked figure got in. "No questions. Just drive," they whispered. Naturally, I asked 17 questions in under 2 minutes. They ignored me. I took back roads, twisted turns, a shortcut through a neon bowling alley, and finally stopped at a weird bookstore with no windows. The figure exited, left behind a rubber chicken, and said, "Your destiny begins tomorrow." I put the chicken on the dashboard for protection. Then came a robot delivering pizzas. It glitched halfway through the order, repeated "drive fast or pizza explodes" 10 times, and shot mozzarella from its antenna. We made record time to the customer's address, doing a drift through a fountain and narrowly missing a jet ski wedding. The customer tipped the robot with Bitcoin. The robot tipped me with marinara.